Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 22nd of September, comes to you from Nice in the south of France. And I start by looking at the dollar index. We're seeing a lot of green on the screen this morning. The Evergrande situation finding a short-term solution to the debt issues, but it's by no means going away. But markets have found some relief that we haven't seen a cataclysmic failure right now. The dollar on the weekly chart is still below the cloud, but on the daily and the 60-minute chart, it's looking bullish. Just looking to a new high, that will be the key, which looks likely. We've got upside and downside targets on the long-term chart, but short-term, we've got targets about 1 or 2% higher, which will give us some dollar strength. This is the long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market, of course. That means the euro is looking weaker against the dollar below the cloud. And if we look at sterling, that stronger dollar is having an impact here as well. Sterling falling back to the 136 level, so rolling over a bit here, looking like we won't make that 150 target now, and looking to the downside, and we're on the verge of activating 131 as a target. Looking at sterling against the euro, we're also weaker there, 116.28, so sterling weakness is a bit of a theme at the moment. Bitcoin finding some support at $40,000. On the short-term chart here, we see we spiked down there. That's also cloud support on the daily chart, so that'll be interesting. And the weekly cloud, we're also finding some support. Downside potential 33,000, upside potential 82,000, but keep an eye on these shorter-term targets on your charts. The S&P 500 index was little changed yesterday. Looks like we might be finding cloud support here as well. Notice how that candle shadow just hit right on the cloud day before yesterday. And if you look at the NASDAQ, we're also finding cloud support on the top of the cloud. We look to open higher today, slightly higher at least on the S&P future, and on the NASDAQ future also slightly higher. The VIX volatility down 5%, but we are in territory that we haven't been in since May, so the market is still fearful, even though that has receded a little bit. In terms of the FTSE future, we're up just under 1%, the DAX in Germany up 0.4%, and the CAC 40 in Paris up 1%. So we're seeing European markets recovering, but we are short-term bearish below the cloud on these markets. Japan actually down a further 1%. They had a big sell-off yesterday, another fall today, not enough yet to take it bearish, and we do have this breakout still on the long-term chart, so that's quite key. The Hang Seng up 0.62%, so some relief there again on Evergrande, but really quite key that we are just below the cloud now on all three time frames. China, the Shanghai index up 0.4%, it's taking it in a stride. The Sensex in India up 0.25%, and the Aussie market up 0.3%. So that's quite key. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. Soft commodities looking strong. Sugar up 0.6%, wheat up 0.62%. Those long-term targets still there on the wheat price, so that's going to be quite key. Gold recovering some further ground, but really back to short-term bullish. But on the medium-term chart, we've got to break this 1830 level really. Silver sitting at 22.70. Again, not quite enough to get it through the cloud, but it does look like a support level around this 2250 level. Palladium has had a terrible time. It's up 2% this morning, but we see we've had a real fall away there. Copper did fall back, but again is just finding support at around that $4 mark. US 10-year yield sitting at 1.33% on the 10-year, and if we look at the energy mix, now we've got Brent Crude looking stronger this morning, up 1%. Still needs to break this lower high. That's going to be quite key for Brent Crude. 76.40, 76.50. That's the level that we need to see broken. We've got a target to 76.30 on the 1 minute chart. If you're trading crude oil, that's the chart to look at. We've not activated this bigger upside target yet, and we are finding some resistance on the daily chart, so on the 60-minute chart, so that's quite key. US nat gas sitting at $4.88, so it's fallen right back. So currently bearish below the cloud on the short term. We do have some downside targets on that 60-minute chart, the 1 minute chart that's showing us back to $5, and of course we've got a very big target now on the daily chart. Coal pulling back to 122, taking the news flow that China is going to stop coal-fired power stations or new ones, so that might have an impact in terms of the news flow. We're seeing emissions really struggling to get bullish this week, and we're looking at gas markets now. So we're down 4% on MBP and hitting resistance at around this $190 mark. That's becoming a clear area where the price is struggling to break for the moment. And we look at TTF, similar picture here. And in fact, on this chart, this is what's happening with TTF on the 60-minute chart. We've got a long-term trend. We're probably going to pull back to the trend. Maybe we've got a triangle pattern building here, and that's an ascending triangle. Could be quite explosive. We do have upside targets, but for the moment, if you're trading TTF or MBP, keep an eye on these 1 minute charts, especially on your OTC price data. So for the moment, we've got a downside target, some 8% lower. That's going to be quite key to watch. But watch these charts as they build new targets. That's going to be your number one thing to watch. German power's down 1.5%, but holding the €100 mark, still looking pretty strong, and that target of 123 is still there. We've got downside targets to 101, 100.7, and 97.5 on the short-term chart. Again, watch those on your OTC chart data. Down 5% on the Cal on Nordic Power, and the quarterly contract down a whopping 11% this morning, so that's fallen away quite sharply there. UK Power, been in the news a lot at the moment, 178, so it's really a case of this 160, 200 range, which we've talked about. That was given to clients on Monday. Keep an eye on the idea that we will see a lower low or a higher high. That's what's going to matter. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.